Hey everyone, so today we're going to be doing what I'd like to call a deep dip into Black culture and more specifically box braids. And it's also a deep dip into specifically this TikToker named Kayla. So I'm not really good with transitions, as you all know. And so moving on, I'm going to play this video in its entirety so that you have the full context because it's not very long. And then I'm going to go through it again and going into detail about all the things that I have to say about it.
Hey guys, so I have a question for Black women and men, doesn't matter. So if you don't like any other race but your own wearing box braids or just simply braiding their hair, explain to me why. And then if you say you really don't care but then get mad when I braid my hair, please explain why. Because I'm not going to sit up here as a white girl with my hair braided every time I take a damn picture or a video and then put in the caption, "Thank you so much for allowing me to use your culture." It's just not going to happen. I know the history behind box braids. All of this is my hair that I did myself. But even if it was fake hair and I went somewhere and they did box braids on me, how is it affecting you? I braid my hair because I like my hair braided. That's it. So you guys can continue to sit up here and hate on me, but it really shows your insecurities. And it doesn't hurt me because I love myself. If you're hating on me because of my hair, I feel bad for you.
So that was a lot, and we're just going to start off with the history of Black people. She says in the video,
I know the history behind box braids. All of this is my hair that I did myself.
what about that history has to do with what you're talking about? Now, I will get into the history of box braids, and I'm not going to do this whole like expose on it or anything, but I'm going to talk about the most crucial aspects of why people will have a varying degree of reactions to her wearing box braids. But before we do that, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I don't think she actually knows the history. I think that maybe she understands maybe the surface level of it or the most basic interpretation of that history. But the only part of the history of box braids that you need to know as someone who doesn't understand box braids is that it's a protective hairstyle. Black people are known for having coarse hair and coily hair that's very curly. And because that's their natural hair, it's very easy for it to get tangled. And when it gets tangled, it turns into these microscopic knots and it breaks off their hair. So a Black person cannot walk around with just an afro with no product in it all day, every day, or sleep like that because their hair is going to get matted up and it's going to break off. Once those knots are tied, you can't undo them. And so it's very important to separate your ends, because if your ends are separated, then it can grow healthy. On top of that, Black people tend to use fake hair in their box braids instead of just their natural hair because one, it helps to hold the hair together better and it just looks nice. It adds volume to their hair. If you are a Black person and you have very short hair, it's going to be hard for you to wear box braids because of how short your hair is. So if you put fake hair in it, it just helps it to grow better. There's a lot of benefits to using fake hair. It's not just for like a glamorous lifestyle. And funnily enough, it's one of the cheapest fake hairstyles to wear because with long straightened hair, you know, there's this whole thing in society where you need real hair because people will think that you're like cheap and you'll get judged. But with box braids, it doesn't really make sense to buy real hair because it's braided up. You can't really tell a difference in the texture and it's much less expensive. So not only that, but even if you did use real hair, it's just so expensive. It's not worth it for that tiny little difference in texture. Now I'm going to get more into this later, but the reason why I bring this up is because I don't think she understands even that basic level of history. And I say that because she said this.
I know the history behind box braids. All of this is my hair that I did myself. But even if it was fake hair and I went somewhere and they did box braids on me, how is it affecting you? I braid my hair because I like my hair braided. That's it. So you guys can continue to sit up here and hate on me, but it really shows your insecurities.
If you understood the history, then you wouldn't assume that Black people are hating on you. First of all, since she wants to do this, let's talk about her hair, okay? You mean to tell me that a white girl has convinced herself that she has not only mastered the art of box braids enough to even compare herself to Black people's box braids, but that she's done it so well that they're jealous of her? What? You had to use rubber bands to tie your ends together because you can't burn the ends since you didn't have the good sense to use fake hair, and you can't use the hot water method because it's your real hair. I don't even know if she knows about that stuff. And on top of that, if you just look at it, I mean, it looks very basic. It looks like you know how to braid, sort of. I mean, there's some knots in there and unevenness, but we can't even see your whole head because you have a hoodie on. So you're so proud of your hair, but you're not actually showing it off. And it's such a basic hairstyle. Her hair's just down. What is it that Black people are supposed to be jealous of? I want anyone to tell me in the comments, what about this hairstyle? What about her look right now is so glorious that someone's jealous? I mean, her braids aren't even the same sizes. Like, some of them are huge and some of them are small. So I'm really trying to understand, what are people jealous of? And again, it's not like Black people can be jealous of her hair texture, because it's better to use fake hair than it is to use real hair for box braids. Because one, you can either burn the ends, which isn't that great of a method anymore, or you can use hot water, which kind of melts the hair into like a certain way where the ends stay together. You can even curl the ends. I mean, look at how beautiful this hairstyle looks. She can't do that. So I'm really trying to understand what the hell they're supposed to be jealous of, but that's how delusional she is. There's this thing about people where a lot of people want to just make themselves a victim about anything. People tend to assume that this victimhood is centered around the severe left cult of people who are super anti-cultural appropriation, anything, you know, the people who are like, you got to be conscious of everyone's pronouns and all that. But even someone like this, someone who doesn't care about those things, or mainly the cultural appropriation stuff, also is trying to make herself a victim about box braids. I'm a white girl. No one cares. And speaking of which, let's address that too.
So if you don't like any other race but your own wearing box braids or just simply braiding their hair, explain to me why. And then if you say you really don't care but then get mad when I braid my hair, please explain why.
That doesn't even make sense in a sentence. How can someone tell you that they don't care and then get mad when you wear your hair? What are you talking about? Who in the comment section, ever in any comment section, has ever said, I don't care how you do XYZ, but I hate that you're doing this? Honestly, she's just making shit up. There's this other problem that people have, which is most people, where they assume that the comment section is like one f***ing person, which is really stupid. They're like, well, this comment said this, and then this comment said that, so you're gonna say this, but at the same time say that. We've all heard people do this. And there's plenty of logic behind the idea of pointing out contradictions, obviously. All of us are capable of saying something and then contradicting ourselves. But that's not the same as reading 10 comments to say one thing and 10 comments to say another, unless the username is the same people. And so she's clearly doing that here, because you cannot find a comment that's doing what she's saying. But even when we look at the parts that are true, which is that some Black people say they don't care. Yeah, there's plenty of Black people who don't care. Why? Because your hair is not special. Your hair does not look amazing. It is a basic hairstyle. It would be like as if she was saying that makeup gurus were jealous of her makeup or something when she's not really doing much with it, you know? It really doesn't make any sense. But for the people who say that they do have a problem with it, it's legitimate. And it doesn't mean that white people can't wear box braids, but it means that if you're going to wear box braids as a white person, there's going to be Black people who are upset about it, and their feelings make sense. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But before I get into any examples of it, I want to explain the general reason why. So one thing that white people hate is the idea that they need to be conscious of how their whiteness affects other races. That's this big thing where once you bring up that subject, people put a label on you. They want to put you in the box and they're like, oh, you must be some crazy, super like leftist cultist or whatever, because you think that I, as a white person, need to be conscious of, and they'll say it about each other. There are white people who are telling other white people to be considerate to how their whiteness affects other races. And then the other white people be like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And it's a legitimate thing in some cases. In other cases, yes, it's ridiculous or it's unrealistic. But when it comes to hair, there's a lot of things about it that are affected by white people that isn't intentional, but that's just the way it is. So by that I mean that in a professional setting, wearing box braids is considered unprofessional. There are schools that have said that kids can't wear box braids, they can't wear it at work, and it gets worse. But before I get into that, just understand that it's viewed as an unprofessional hairstyle. And there's a lot of things in society where when a white person does it, it's okay. When a Black person does it, it isn't. It's honestly more likely that if a white person walks up to their place of work with box braids, people will accept it and think, oh, this is a new interesting thing you're doing, Sally. But if Lakeisha goes up to work with box braids, they're going to think that she's ignorant and ghetto and all these other things. And they're going to tell her not to wear it. When again, this is a protective hairstyle. It's something that Black people need. So some people don't understand that when it comes to protective hairstyles, that different Black people need different types of hairstyles to protect their hair. For some hair textures, box braids helps their hair to grow. For other Black people with different hair textures, it actually makes their hair break off. For some Black people, they can wash and comb their hair in the shower. And for other Black people, they have to put the conditioner on their hair and use a shower cap and just wait an hour or two for it to soak in before they go and comb anything, or else they're going to rip their hair out. Every Black person is different. And so even though there are some Black people who are like, box braids aren't even that good for me, they make my hair fall out, it would make sense if that kind of person doesn't care who wears box braids because they don't really like them. But for someone else where that's crucial for their hair, and then to be told that it's not professional and that they can't wear that to work while they see white people wearing all sorts of crazy hairstyles to their place of work, yes, it's offensive. It's not that it's the white person's fault that people are accepting them for wearing these different, interesting hairstyles, but when a Black person does it, it's not okay. No, it's the fact that even though they're not intentionally creating this dynamic, they are a part of it. And so since they have the privilege of people being okay with it, it would be helpful if you actually cared about Black people to try and lift them up as well, since you have the nerve to use their culture. This is a form of racism that people don't understand. I've talked about it in the past in this video. And that form of racism is that when you take something from any culture, it doesn't matter what, and you use it for your own benefit to make yourself seem cool or interesting or pretty or whatever, but then you mock that culture and you put it down at every turn and you disrespect it, that is the definition of cultural appropriation. You are literally attacking someone else's culture and putting it down while using them to your own benefit. It's disgusting. And any Black person has a right to have an issue with that. It's not that people saw this TikTok and just thought, oh, her hair is ugly. It's that they saw the TikTok, saw her reaction to it, and they saw that form of racism. That's somewhere between the light end and middle end of the spectrum of racism. When they saw that, they realized, oh, she's taking our culture and she's using it for her own benefit while calling us jealous and insulting us, saying that we're insecure. You're going to call an entire race of people insecure and wonder why they're upset? And I know this because let's look at the comments. Girl, ain't nobody hating on you. We just don't want y'all to end up losing your hair. We got thick hair, y'all don't. Go ahead, use our culture. Just don't complain when you end up bald-headed. And it's true because it's not a protective hairstyle for you. Just like how it can make some Black people's hair fall out, it can make your hair fall out too. So have fun while it lasts. I was fine with the question until she started assuming I was hating on her. I don't remember anyone asking if you want to be one of us. Just say that. Don't call us insecure because you want black hair. All of this sounds like a you problem. As soon as I heard the condescending tone, I just knew you're going to get dragged. And that's the point right there. I don't even have to say it. It was the way that she responded to the community while using their culture that made everyone upset. I know the history behind box braids. She want to call us out but has a hoodie on while hiding her scalp. Girl, bye. Babes, I don't mind because those ain't box braids. She really thought she ate this video up. As a Black girl, I don't mind when others wear box braids as long as you ain't racist and you respect and understand the history behind it and why some might find it disrespectful for you to wear it. And that is so important because it's just like what I said earlier. There are going to be Black people who are offended. No one's denying that. But it's warranted. Any human being is capable of having anger towards something that unjust, towards a race of people who can wear whatever kind of hair that they want in almost any setting, or at least in vastly more settings than another race, while that race actually needs that hair for their own protection, and they're told to and forced not to be able to use that protective culture. It just makes sense that someone would be upset about that. And Black people have absolutely a right to be upset when a white person does that and then doesn't want to help that culture normalize their hair. When you say something like, thank you for letting me use your culture, this is you bringing attention to the fact that this is from someone else's culture, and that does help to normalize it. But no one's even asking you to say thank you so much, Black people. You could simply just say, yeah, it sucks that Black people get scrutinized for wearing this hair. You could literally say, why is it okay for me to wear this hair in this setting, but they can't? That would be helpful. But the problem with that is that it takes a hit to her ego. And now it becomes something where she has to humble herself. And she clearly doesn't want that. But I want to read this comment too. It says, the thing is, we work hard for our culture to be accepted when we go to school. There is a possibility we could be sent home when we wear our own cultural hairstyles. We risk not getting jobs. We even are called ghetto. But when y'all started doing it, it was trendy. It literally got renamed by y'all when we created it and get judged harshly for wearing our own culture. So while we suffer, y'all walk away and we are constantly told we need to straighten our hair to be pretty and professional. So we use our culture and try. But now after years of y'all being the standard, you also want to use our culture that we fight for and profit off it. Because she's profiting off of that TikTok, just mentioning, I'm a white girl, I wear box braids. She's getting retention, watch time, and money from that. So again, it's not this heavy form of racism. It's not like she's like, oh, kill all, It's just a form of racism that is putting down the entire culture of Black people and everything that they've worked for over all these years. People praise Madam C.J. Walker for inventing the hot comb. But the thing that people don't talk about is that she had to do that so that Black people could keep up with white people. And the problem is that some people may think, well, why don't you just press out your hair? It's not that easy. You have to use product to protect your hair from the heat damage. If you don't protect your hair, it's gonna break off, it's gonna fall out, it's gonna die. You're gonna get split ends. And even if it doesn't, you're going to do irreversible damage depending on how much you heat your hair and how often and how well the protection that you're putting in your hair for the heat damage actually works. There's so many businesses that say this will protect your hair, then you use it and now you've damaged your hair permanently. So I'm going to link this video in the description, but this is a prime example of what heat damaged hair looks like. And as you can see, her hair can't go back to the texture it used to be. This eliminates the possibility for Black people to use certain hairstyles that they like. And again, it's just not good for your hair. In the long run, it can make your hair fall out. People want Black people to lay down their edges all the time. That's also not good for your hair because it cuts off the oxygen that your hair needs in order to grow healthy. So there's just a lot more to the culture of box braids than anything that she can clearly comprehend. And it gets worse. So I'm going to show you this video of a girl who was trying to get an EEG and how that affected her natural hair. An EEG is a test that you get at the doctors for detecting abnormalities in your brainwaves. It uses small discs. You'll see it as she talks. So let's just start this video.
Okay, so I get migraines and I have an MRI and EEG scheduled for tomorrow. I literally, like maybe 2 hours ago, made a whole video talking about how I received the document saying that to prepare for the EEG, I can't have weave, braids, no hair oil, no conditioner, like nothing in your hair. And how just like as a Black woman, that is so exclusionary for coarse and thick hair, to literally have no product in your hair and show up with it loose. You're not even reaching my scalp with that. So my own decision was to come. I already had these mini twists in for like 2 weeks now, was to come with my mini twist. It's literally so much scalp that you have access to. This is also not the first time I've gotten an EEG before, so I know how it works and I know that you can access my scalp. When I had the EEG before, like 5-6 years ago, I had like really short hair, so I wasn't in the same predicament that I am right now. But anyway, long story short, I was told the preparation list maybe like 2 weeks ago, and I already had in my mind, well, I have mini twists in, I feel like this works. If I come with like a big afro, it's just going to be even more difficult to access my scalp with no product in it, and I feel like this is like very scalp friendly.
And so for the record, she doesn't feel like it's scalp friendly. It is scalp friendly. That's just a common thing that people say. They're like, I think this, when that is the case. If she shows up without any product in her hair, she would have 2 options. She would either have to press her hair out with no product, which is severely going to damage her hair, or she has to show up with an afro, which makes it extremely hard for them to get to her scalp. If it was pressed out, then they can part it and get to where they need to be. That's what they're going to do if she was white anyway, or at least it would have to be thin enough for the discs to reach through the hair. That's not going to happen with a black person's natural hair. So this is the equivalent of having straight hair. The only thing that can make this even more equivalent to having pressed out hair is if her mini twists were like a fourth the size, and then she'd have even more parts, and that would take 1,000 years to do, and it's unnecessary. That will be shown later in her video.
Scalp friendly, and still kind of like protecting my hair. So I got a reminder email today about the same stuff, and at the bottom of it, it said like, oh, if you don't adhere to the above, it's like a $50 fee, so like same day cancellation, something like that. So I was like, you know what, maybe let me just email and just preface that I am black. And I was like, but my scalp's really accessible. I sent pictures like of the camera in my scalp. It's literally like 1,000 parts in my hair right now. It's fine. And they literally just called me, and I swear, like, the lady was so just, I don't even want to say rude, but just so closed-minded.
And just listen to the way that she's already describing this. That other girl is talking about, why would you say this and then say that, as if black people are just irrational and crazy. Even here, she's like, I don't even want to call her rude. I just want to say she was closed-minded, because she is being understanding of where that person's circumstance is coming from. She understands that this white person just really doesn't know what she's talking about. So even despite how she was treated, she still tried to look at this in an objective way. And that deserves to be commended, because it's really hard to do that when you're being affected by something.
Just, I don't even want to say rude, but just so closed-minded. I literally explained everything to her. I was just like, honestly, I've done this procedure before. I feel like it's way more accessible with my hair like this. My scalp is open. It is, easy to reach, easy to move around. I will wash it, of course. So like, there's no oils, like the little electrodes can adhere to it. One thing, she kept calling my hair braids. I said, miss, I don't have braids. And she basically kept shutting it down and saying, you can't get it done, you can't get it done. There was even one moment where I was still talking and she just put me on hold, like cut me off and put me on hold. And that's kind of like where I got more upset. But anyway, long story short, this is just like extremely racially biased, and like she wasn't even trying to hear the logic, because like there is logic behind what I am saying. I even said to her, like, if I come there with no product at all in my hair is going to be an afro crazy all over the place. Like, you know what I mean? She just wasn't trying to hear it. And I told her, literally at the end, what was like my like cutoff point. So like I was like, so you're telling me that anybody that has locks in this entire world cannot get an EEG done? And she said yes. And I was just like, okay. And I just hung up the phone, because like, make it make sense, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And even before this phone conversation, I was like kind of like looking up articles to see if like this is even spoken about. I had found like one article that was from.
So here you can see that this is someone who has these hairstyles that have these big parts in them, and they're able to do it, and it's still braided up. So the fact that they're even able to do this means that her hairstyle would have worked. And if anything, they could have just told her that she would have to put these bigger braids in it. But I don't think she would have to, because if you're looking at over here and like in between this, there's a lot of hair in between, but it's still able to access the scalp.
A neuroscientist, and she.
It says here, Harper Weigel, I might be saying that wrong, who has expertise in computer-aided design, developed clips which pushed apart the braids, further increasing electrode-to-skin contact. So not only are there clips that can do this, but she's also gotten this EEG before, so those might not even be necessary, but they didn't want to inquire or understand it. And these are people in the healthcare industry. Having twists and braids is a part of healthcare, because it's about the healthiness of your hair.
I found like one article that was from a neuroscientist, and she was like a black woman trying to figure out like different ways to make this process more inclusive of, people with different hair textures. But like other than that, it doesn't seem like it's talked about as much. Like I feel like there's a lack, and I kind of want to document my journey. And I really thought the mini twist would be a success, and that I can document that and kind of share that and be like, hey girls, if you're getting an EEG done, you can do mini twists, or like try to come up with some different solutions.
So that was the end of that TikTok, and then she put up this one.
Okay, I'm about to go inside. As you can see, started the twist in, and I washed my hair, so we'll see. Okay, first I just want to say thank you to everybody who liked, commented, shared. I really didn't expect this to reach as many people as it did, but that just goes to show you how many people can relate with my experience, and just, yeah. When I literally walked in, like in the first 10 minutes, I saw like 4 different black women with either locks or twists. So I was like, okay. But first I had an MRI, and that was for $115. So I did that. Everyone was extremely nice to me. I don't have any bad things to say about anyone that I encountered today. I did the MRI. It was, smooth process. And then I went out to the front to say like, okay, I'm ready for the EEG, and that was scheduled for 1:40. So the lady who was helping me at the front, she was just like, hey, I don't see that, like it says you canceled. So then I ended up telling her what happened yesterday, and I was like, you know what, it had to be the other lady that canceled it. And the first thing she was saying, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, like, your hair is fine, I don't see what the issue could be, like, basically just kind of dumbfounded as to why I would be turned away. I sent my images, like, whatever. She even said, like, people with locks have been in there to get it done before.
And so that creates another problem that I touched on earlier, which is that different white people react to black hair texture in different ways. You could walk into a place of work where one employer is okay with your hair, and then once that employer switches and you have like a new box, and then you have a new boss, or you have to switch jobs, all of a sudden it's not okay, and you have to find a new way to cope with that. And it's really, that within itself is stressful because you are never able to relax. You constantly have to worry about how white people are going to react to you simply having a hairstyle. What's so ironic is that when this woman was saying, oh, why do you guys even care? The big thing that black people have to deal with is the fact that white people care so much about how they wear their hair when they're not hurting anyone. And that's why people care about you wearing your hair without any scrutiny or criticism, because they can't have that. If they're jealous of anything, it would be the fact that you get to be treated more like a human being. And anybody has a right to be jealous of that, because everyone deserves that at a basic level of consideration as a human. We're all human, and health is important for all of us in all forms. Mental, physical, including your hair. But anyway.
Or like, she was just like, no, your hair is fine. And she even took me to the technician just to be like, come and, let her see your hair too, so she can also tell you that you'll be fine. The technician was a black woman, and she was like, yeah, like it was almost just like, duh, like, yeah, you're fine. So yeah, I don't know who that woman was on the phone yesterday, but my experience today was good. Unfortunately, because that lady canceled my appointment, I have to get the EEG next week. The woman at the front who helped me, her name is Tanya, I think she said. Shout out to Tanya. I don't know the name of the lady from the phone, but
she should have asked though, so that she could complain, because that was ridiculous.
The name of the lady from the phone, but it's okay. I feel okay with shouting out someone who offered a positive experience. So shout out to Tanya. But I'm definitely going to take the advice from the comments on like filing a complaint. My first step is to just email the center directly and maybe see like if I give them the time and the date, if they can narrow down who that was on the phone, and start to handle that internally first, especially because I had such a great experience with everybody else. Hopefully next week when I go in for the EEG, it's great as well. But yeah, thank everybody for your advice, your encouraging words. I'm glad this sparked a conversation. I'm glad that people who have an EEG coming up are kind of able to read through the comments and just know what is and isn't, And the reason why I posted that was really because I was trying to find information and commonality with different people, like if they have gotten it and what have they done, what's okay, what's not. And we have a full 300 something comments of like conversation going on, and like that's the beautiful thing about speaking up and just sharing your truth. So yeah, but I definitely will do my due diligence to make sure that person is, I guess, dealt with as much as I can control. So
and it's important that she does that, because that person is going to be affecting other black people who are trying to get EEGs. Another thing that's seen as unprofessional for black people to wear is scarves in their hair, just to get away from the whole EEG thing, because that's not the main point of this video. That's just to give a detailed example of a black person's experience where their health is on the line. She's getting migraines. Who knows what's wrong with her? And then being told that she would either have to give her hair permanent heat damage, or she would have to shave herself bald basically, or use an afro, which isn't going to get the results that they need from her to get this EEG. But anyway, another hairstyle that's seen as something that's unprofessional for black people to wear in the workplace are scarves. Like, this hairstyle is so beautiful. This one is like my favorite, and it's a scarf, but this helps black people to keep their hair intact. It helps them to keep the roots laid down so that they don't have to like lay their edges. I know that hers are laid, but if you are wearing a scarf, you won't have to. For example, like with this. This is a way to keep your edges laid without product, and that way your hair can breathe. And it also just makes doing your hair easier, because for white people, especially white people with like type A hair and stuff like that. They can just wash their hair, step out the shower, and go to work. Black people, it's not that easy to do wash and go hairstyles. And even when they do, it's not good to do that every day. So for a Black person, their form of wash and go would be to wash their hair and put a scarf on. But when was the last time you walked into a place of work and saw a Black person with their hair looking like this? It's not very often. When was the last time you saw a kid at school wearing their hair like this? But what's so infuriating about this is that white people wear scarves. This is an expensive looking woman, and she's able to wear this type of a scarf. And if she went to a place of work looking like that, nobody would assume that she was ghetto or ignorant for it. But if you did that as a Black person, people automatically assume that that was unprofessional. People assume that cornrows are unprofessional. And to them, it makes you think of like rappers and stuff. And the whole thing is just so ignorant. Now, with all of that being said, everything that you've seen so far, I want to tell you the saddest part about the history of box braids for Black people. And that being that it is connected to slavery, just like with the vast majority of everything with Black culture. Because, what created Black people was slavery and Black people being taken against their will to another country to work for pretty much nothing. And they built everything. You can't go a day without using an invention from a Black person. And if you don't know about that, then you should look into it. You can also read this book. But yeah, there's so much. But when it comes to box braids specifically, it was a way to communicate. It was like a coded messaging system. Like, it was really intelligent, actually. They would put patterns into Black people's hair. As a side note, I just wanted to add that I learned about this, not from the stuff that I'm showing you, but from TikTok. You know that app where people say you can't learn anything and everyone's stupid and silly and just do dances and stuff? I actually saw this video about a bunch of different patterns that they put into Black people's hair to have these coded messages, and I thought that was like amazing. I've learned a few things about Black history from there. Maybe one day I'll do like a video of TikToks about Black people or something, but for now I'm just going to say that. And it was meant to tell each other certain pathways to take and how to be safe. Let me just hang on one second. Okay, let me just read this to you. It says, braids can be traced back thousands of years in African culture. So the first part I'm gonna read is about how it actually was a sign of wealth and beauty. Like, only people who were wealthy seemed to be people who had box braids, which is kind of funny since, again, nowadays it's the cheapest kind of hair that you can get that's fake hair from the salon. But it says here, these styles were worn for numerous purposes. A few of them included societal customs, but mainly because they were just so dang fashionable. Further proof that women of color and their hair have been killing it for as long as humans have been around. I'll try to find something else that talks about the wealth and stuff, and I'll just post it right now while I'm talking. But I'm going to move on to the sad part, which is braid patterns were an indicator of important aspects of a woman's identity. Many of us consider our hair to be a large part of our identity, but a woman's hair in African culture could say so many quintessential things about her material status, age, religion, and more. This is part of the whole communication thing, but it does get worse. Braiding was a social art. So when this white girl says, oh, well, I wear them because I like to wear them, it's like, do you know the history? Because the whole point of wearing them was meant to say certain things about you. You couldn't even adopt that part. Like, you don't want it to represent you in any kind of way. You're just like, it looks nice on me, which it doesn't. She looks tacky, but whatever. It also says braids were used as a complex language system and could act as a message carrier. This is the part I was talking about, where it says box braids also acted as a form of communication during the time of slavery. It was a way for slaves to relate to one another certain paths that could be taken to escape to freedom. For example, the number of braids worn could indicate how many roads to take. If that's not completely genius, we don't know what is. Like, that's what's so crazy about box braids. Like, Black people took something that they used to use as a sign of beauty. Like, this was already in their culture. So imagine being a owner and you kidnap these people and you take them to your country. You saw them wearing braids, so you don't think anything of it as the master, and black people knew that. So then they got the idea, well, let's use this thing that they don't see as a thing and turn it into something to save us, to communicate with each other, because if we talk about this out loud, we're going to get shot, we're going to get killed, tortured, everything. And they did that with other stuff too, like with music. That's why so much like old black music was really like emotionally driven and deep in meaning. It's because black people, of course, had music from their culture, and these people who came and took them probably heard some of that. They didn't realize that when black people were singing about stuff, it was so that they could communicate ways to get through their escape, maybe like plans that they had or things that they need to look out for or ideas that they had. And that is just so intelligent but so sad. So just to go through a few of the things that she said again with all of these things in mind, now you can have a better perspective as to why her video is so ignorant and so offensive, and why any black person would have a right to be offended by what she had to say while not being jealous.
Hey guys, so I have a question for black women and men, doesn't matter. So if you don't like any other race but your own wearing box braids or just simply braiding their hair, explain to me why.
If you knew about the culture of black people in any way, shape, or form, why would you need them to explain it to you? Because with all these perspectives in mind that I just showed you, the answer is obvious. The black people who have an issue with it, it's because they're not allowed to do it. So they feel like if white people aren't going to allow me to wear my hair in these different settings, why is it okay for white people to do it then? If I can't, then no one should. I have to climb up a hill to be able to wear my hair in this way. You don't have to do anything. So yeah, I don't want you wearing it. That makes sense. It's not fair. And I personally don't agree with that perspective, but it makes sense why someone would feel that way.
And then if you say you really don't care but then get mad when I braid my hair, please explain why.
There's nobody in the world who would ever say that. You couldn't even show a comment that says that. And TikTok has a feature where you can highlight a comment and do a direct response to it. And then it'll show the comment like right here. So why didn't you show any comments of people saying that? For you to even put that in their mouths to make an entire race of people sound that crazy and hypocritical.
Because I'm not going to sit up here as a white girl with my hair braided every time I take a damn picture or a video and then put in the caption, "Thank you so much for allowing me to use your culture."
And I'm just going to say right now, I know some people are going to get offended by this, but the way she's talking is similar to how black people talk. I'm not going to sit up here as a white girl with my damn braids. Like, there are black people who talk like that. You are clearly someone who wants to adopt certain things from black culture, but you're so offended. Let's look at it again.
I'm not going to sit up here as a white girl with my hair braided every time I take a damn picture or a video and then put in the caption, "Thank you so much for allowing me to use your culture."
You could have said anything to support these people, and nobody needs you to say it in every video. The entire point of this form of is that you aren't showing any content where you've ever shouted out black people or their culture, but you're going to show in all sorts of content you using their culture to your own benefit. If you just had a few videos where you were lifting black people up, or you were supporting black businesses, or you were supporting the black people and celebrating black people wearing their natural hair and supporting that they should be able to wear that in different places of work and at school and in their everyday life without being looked at as some sort of ghetto drug dealer, then black people would be fine with you wearing your hair like that, because all sorts of black people in history talk about how you need white people when trying to do a social movement. No matter what country you're from, you need the race that takes up the majority to adopt the things that you're trying to normalize, because it is impossible to normalize something within a minority unless it's just normal in the minority group. But for it to be normalized across the entire country, it's impossible unless that main race is taking part in that.
It's just not going to happen. I know the history behind box braids. All of this is my hair that I did myself.
Everyone can tell that it's your hair. That's the funniest part. Like, she didn't even have to say it. Like, for people who do box braids, that does not look like fake hair. And for a million reasons. It's too thin. She had to tie the ends because they don't stay together on their own. So clearly it's real hair. And no one would ever pay thousands of dollars for that kind of real hair to put into their hair, because it doesn't look that good. She has a bunch of uneven ends. They're just like splitting everywhere. When you get box braids, you cut all the little hairs that are sticking out. So there's just so much going on that tells you that it's her real hair. So again, like, who are you saying this to? Black people don't need to hear this.
But even if it was fake hair and I went somewhere and they did box braids on me, how is it affecting you?
It's affecting Black people every single day. And if you understood the culture, you would know that. I'm able to show people how it's affecting Black people in just one video and a few comments, and you somehow know the entire history and you don't get it. You're either being stupid on purpose or you're lying. Like, it's manipulative. It's ridiculous. You're just trying to flex on people who didn't ask for your opinion.
And I went somewhere and they did box braids on me, how is it affecting you? I braid my hair because I like my hair braided. That's it.
We know that you braid your hair because you like your hair braided, but you like your hair braided because you like a type of hair that comes from a culture that is not yours. If I were to wear henna on my arms, it's not, oh, I just like wearing henna because I like to wear it. No, it comes from another culture. So if I'm then going to say Indian people are this and that, and you guys don't understand basic stuff and you're just jealous of me, I would be for doing that. Do I have the right to wear henna if I want to? Yes. Will some Indian people be offended by it? Yes. But should I then shit on their culture? No. Everything is not the same.
So you guys can continue to sit up here and hate on me, but it really, really shows your insecurities.
There's nothing insecure about it. No one is hating on you. They're hating the fact that they're being marginalized by your race of people. And you're not going to do anything about it, even though you're literally making TikToks. You have a platform, you have an opportunity to influence the population in a positive way. And you choose to do this instead because you're selfish and you have an ego. You need to humble yourself because you're being ridiculous. And you don't even look good enough for somebody to be jealous. What about this outfit is fashionable? What about her hair is so amazing that Black people are supposed to want to look like her? I'm just going to show you some random pictures right now of Black people wearing box braids. Every single one of these people look better than her because she's just doing a basic hairstyle. There's Black people who wear their hair like that every day. They wear just box braids laying down. They'll put on a hoodie, but they're not going to walk around thinking, oh yeah, I look so great. Every Black person who sees me is just jealous of me.
And it doesn't hurt me because I love myself. If you're hating,
if you love yourself, then why are you making this video where you have to put all these people down? Anybody who loves themselves would never put down a race of people for no good reason. That means that every single time you braid your hair, like for you to say, I'm not going to sit here every time and thank Black people, that means you're thinking about it every time you braid your hair. As you're braiding it, you're thinking about the fact that it comes from another culture, because it does. You can't not think about it. So you need to focus on you and not in the egotistical way that you have been.
On me, but it really, really shows your insecurities. And it doesn't hurt me because I love myself. If
it doesn't hurt you, then why are you so offended? Like, again, she's just deluding herself the whole time.
You're hating on me because of my hair, I feel bad for you. Hey guys, so
if you're hating on me because of my hair, it's not because of your hair. So I'm going to insert this because I've talked about how in the past I wasn't as descriptive about certain things. I would just say them and move on. So I'm trying to work on that. And here, when I was saying that she's just delusional and that she doesn't like herself, this is what I meant when I said that. This is a deeply insecure woman. If you haven't noticed, in her video, not only does she have a hood over her head, which, as the people were pointing out in the comments, that means that her scalp doesn't look very good, and that's why she's covering it up. It's a common thing that women do. They'll put on a cap while they have this long, luxurious, pretty hair because their roots look bad, or a hoodie. But on top of that, she's using the same facial expression throughout the entirety of the video. And her face is at the same angle the whole time. She barely moves her head, and that's because she's very insecure about her looks, especially with her face, and she's doing this because she feels like this is her good angle. Most likely that means that her face is uneven, so if she were to look at you straight, her face would be kind of lopsided. That's usually what people like that do to alleviate that anxiety of how ugly they feel that they are. So the fact that she's obsessed with every second being in one pose with one facial expression and speaking with one tone means that she's so insecure about how she's going to come off if she just relaxes for a second and is herself. And because she's that insecure and because she's in denial of it, she's convincing herself that she's pretty and she looks nice and she likes herself. I talked about this in this video, how people chase happiness instead of looking at themselves and improving themselves. So she's doing all of that. And when you do that, it deludes you. It puts you in this state of mind where you're living in this false reality. It's narcissistic. topic, and that then causes people to project onto someone else. I also talked about this before. I call it the Black Mirror theory. I need to make a follow-up on that video actually, because I have a lot more to add about how that psychological phenomenon works. But the main takeaway of the Black Mirror theory is that when you believe yourself to be something and then you meet someone who's actually that thing, it projects a dark reflection back to you. So black people is something that she clearly wants to be because she talks a little bit like she's black. She wants to wear her hair like a black person does. Just like with most people in this area of racism, where they want to use things from a certain culture to make themselves seem cool and interesting and beautiful while putting down that race, is because they secretly admire all those things about that race, and it angers them that they aren't naturally a part of that culture. So it's like this attack through her own insecurity. It's like the worst way to cope with your own flaws, basically. So I'm just going to read a few more comments and then I'm going to get out of here. I was literally shocked to hear that because not all of us have hated and were hating. So actually assuming that we all were hating just made things way worse. Exactly. And there were a bunch of people who wanted to compliment her. Use your culture. Ladies and gentlemen, I think Miss Girl just answered her own question. Exactly. You're using someone else's culture and you know that you are. No one is insecure. Laughing my fucking ass off, but y'all wasn't doing hair like this 2 to 5 years ago. Why now? It's funny because she calls it fake hair when if she really knew the origin, she would call it mesh and they're protective hairstyles. Exactly. And like that's what people meant when they were saying you guys renamed it. That's like another form of that. Ain't nobody insecure about your hair. With all that hair coming out of the braids, you have a lot of nerve, sis. She just wants attention, period. So here comes somebody saying, so you're saying it's illegal for her to braid her hair because of the history? Grow up. She is making a point. Just because you're black doesn't mean other people can't braid their hair. You didn't create it now, did you? So everybody here that's saying she can't braid her hair, shut up. Everybody's saying she's not good at braiding her hair. You're taking what they're saying out of context. Like I was reading comments back to back for you guys, and the only ones I was skipping were pretty much saying the same thing. Nobody said it's illegal. So you're putting words in their mouth to be a victim, and it's got 33 likes. Ridiculous. And for the record, for the whole thing about people saying that she's doing this for attention, for anyone else who feels that way and thinks that black people shouldn't be commenting on this because it just feeds into her getting attention, it's like, it's not about what she's doing. It's the fact that other people are actually resonating with what she posted, whether it's sarcastic, intentional, attention hungry, or if she's just genuinely ignorant. It's about the effect that it has on people. And again, black people are marginalized, so it's important for them to speak up on that type of stuff. It just creates this dynamic where it's like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't respond. This person said in response, white. Nah, fam. Nah, you rude. Where in that comment did she say any of that? Also, no, she didn't create it, but her culture did, Emma. She's just saying no black woman would ever be insecure by a white girl with loose braids. They probably loose because she don't want her hair to fall out. Who said it was illegal? Exactly. Girl, don't talk nothing you don't understand. Who you calling fam? Exactly. Girl, please get out of your feelings. We aren't insecure. We love ourselves just like you do, but you have a blessed day. I don't care what type of hair you have or what race you are. I just want you to be able to keep your hair from leaving your head. Oh my God, that face just makes that comment. The laugh out loud that I just had. I was like, yeah, she's not wrong, but then she threw it all out the window with that attitude, right? When her hair fall out, she ain't gonna say nothing. I think it's so important to understand and respect what you wish to emulate, not simply because of popularity or for the sake of being trendy. As with any aspect of another culture's traditions, it's important to do research first, understand the significance behind what you desire to have, recreate, imitate, wear, etc., so that it's clear you're celebrating and appreciating it. God bless you. Because there's a difference between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation, and she is not appreciating black people's culture. This comment right here, it says, if you don't want a race to care, you don't attack them about it. So perfectly said. Why would you attack someone who you want to just be like whatever about what you're doing? This person says, right? If she gets backlash for wearing box braids, she can't just tell people that it's her hair since she claims to know the history behind the style. They could say she just thinks it's cute, but this video was unnecessary and shady. It's the stank tone for me. This An idiot says, attack them? Okay, so first of all, you cannot, and I'm going to repeat this, cannot speak from a black person's perspective. So other people can have their opinions. If people think she's overreacting, then so be it. You can speak for black people all you want to. You can speak for anyone that you want to speak for, and if you're wrong, then you're wrong, and if you're right, then you're right. Not trying to upset you here, but technically Latin people race is Caucasian. Latin is your ethnicity. There's only 4 races, which is white, Caucasian. Oh my God, they're getting so technical. I can't stand it. Anyway, I'm black and I honestly think everyone looks nice in braids, and I don't mind if anyone does braids. It's their choice. Wait, why are we insecure? I wish that she'd answer that, if anything. I'm not going to sit up here as a white girl. As a white girl who adores locks, wears synthetic locks and hopes to get real ones one day, this was not it. She didn't need to be so disrespectful about it. People like her are why gatekeeping over hair is still happening. And that is the most important point. The thing that she's so upset about, she's causing. When you disrespect a race like this who's already being attacked from your race of people for what they're just trying to do, they're minding their own business trying to wear their hair, and white people keep making it a fucking problem, and then you attack them on top of that, that then makes them want to gatekeep it. It makes them want to stop you because you're making their situation worse. Let's enjoy our hair and lift each other up. Life isn't going to get any easier if we're constantly at each other's throats. You know she wanted to say period at the end, thinking she ate that up. Because braids holds a lot of culture significance and has lots of important history behind it. Insecure, please. She could say that to herself. Her hair probably gone. That's why she's wearing a cap. This comment has 1,000 likes. It says, at first I was like, slay, until she started calling me insecure and assuming I hated her. Like, girl, why did I literally laugh the whole video? Those ain't even motherfucking box braids, and you calling us insecure? This person says, if you're not insecure, then she's not talking about you. And then someone responds and says, girl, did you not watch the video? She said every black person that hated on her box braids. They ain't box braids. She just braided her hair with ponytails at the end. And the top is a whole mess if you watch her other videos. Notice how she only pointed that towards black people? And yeah, because there's plenty of white people who have an issue with black people wearing box braids. But she doesn't care about that. Why? Because she's obsessed with the black culture. She's obsessed with their opinion of her, and that's what she's insecure about. Or else she would have just mentioned people in general. But let's go see her other videos real quick. Let me get her name. Kayla Belovsky. Jesus Christ, that name. So anybody who wants to like defend her for what she said, this is the person you're defending.
You get bored, then come for black people knowing we'll come for you back. It's for clout so your views go up.
Forget the braids. Why is he hiding behind her like that? Y'all, he's hiding. This man don't want to be seen.
Before I say anything, just look at this. Oh, my views are going down. Let me obsess over black people. Let me get in their business. Interesting. Very interesting. It's almost as if she's clout chasing. You want to do braids? That's fine. Okay, braids are cute. Don't compare yourself to black women. You're just trying to get your feelings hurt. Trust me, you will never look as good as a black woman wearing braids. Never. Never. Again, braids are cute. They're beautiful. Now, if you're going to do them right. Because we know damn well you're not taking that hoodie off. We know, okay? We know them braids look funky as hell and you're not taking that hoodie off. Girl, them baby hairs? Nah, okay? Those are full grown. They're on their way to college. You want to do braids? You could have done braids and shut the hell up, okay? You could have done that. But no, you decided to do it and post about a black women appreciation post. Interesting. Why are you so obsessed with black women? Trust me, they don't want you. Like, they don't. Find a black person to redo them braids. Trust me, you will thank me later.
Oh my god. Ooh, let's see what this video is.
So I keep getting asked this question and I'm going to speak about it today. If my boyfriend were to get killed by the police, then would I support Black Lives Matter? No.
Like, she's literally just trying to trigger people. But she's like, you guys are insecure. Black people didn't need to see these other TikToks of hers to know that that's where she's coming from, because it's a pattern of behavior, and they've seen this with all sorts of white people a million times. But for some white people, they might think, oh, she's just being innocent, blah, blah, blah. You can clearly see here that she's trying to trigger black people and then cry wolf and, oh my God, like, why are you guys like reacting to me like that? I'm just trying to wear my hair. I'm not. She literally said, I just wear it because I like to wear it. Why are you concerned about what I'm trying to do? You're literally commenting on black people, their culture, their opinions, what they care about, and then you wonder why they're focusing on you. Really? I'm going to say it again. You are either purposefully being stupid or you're lying. I'm going to mute this music and say what the little meme that she says.
Me and my former African Americans would like to say we would pass them on to the Caucasians. Peace out.
Oh, that one was good. That was good.
She doing everything but showing us the roots, babe. If your hair fell out already, just say that.
Like, I should be able to say I love being white. I should be able to walk around with a shirt saying I love being white. Thank you. Like, I should be able to say I love being white. I should be able to walk around with a shirt saying I love being white.
Now, I have a genuine question for you. Excuse my hair, I just woke up from a nap, but why do you love being white? What is the reason? Because if we're talking about ethnicity, race, identity, and any sorts like that, I'm proud of being three things: Asian, Korean, and American. I am proud of being a Korean because of the 5,000 year long history, what our people have been able to create both culturally, innovatively, all those things like that. I am proud of being an Asian solely because I live in the States. We're a minority. We have come together as a marginalized group in a society where we are repressed. And we've created this beautiful diaspora in the United States where we've created an entire new culture of just Asian Americans. And I think that's wonderful. And I'm proud of being an American because granted me the opportunity for a better life when I immigrated from Korea.
See, that was a good one. Because it makes sense. She doesn't say why she's proud. Okay, so one more and then I'm done. But I think this will be a good one.
Hey guys, so I had a question for black women.
Who are you? Who told you can ask us questions? Who? Listen, until we, the doers, stop facing discrimination for our hairstyles and hair texture, until we get credit and respect for our culture, you are not allowed to wear it. Nothing gives you permission to wear it. Not even riding that black, you know that? So stop. You have questions? Talk to people that look and think like you, not us. And this goes to everybody coming from black women. Stay out of our hair. Stay out of our business. Each and every race on this herd wears extensions, weaves, and wigs. Stop coming for us. Stop. Stop.
Honestly, it was perfectly said, and this is coming from someone who's saying you can't wear our hair. But for those who aren't good at listening to things that trigger them, I'm going to play the most important part of what she said again and dissect that. Listen to this carefully.
Until we, the doers, stop facing discrimination for our hairstyles and hair texture, until we get credit and respect for our culture, you are not allowed to wear it.
So she's saying something that is similar to what I was saying before, which is if you're going to wear box braids, no one's asking you to say in every video, thank you so much, black people, for letting me use your hair. You have a following. Your following will inform people in the comments of whatever it is that you do. So if you have a few videos where you are commending black people, you're lifting them up, you support black businesses, or you're just celebrating something about what they're doing, or at least pointing out the discrimination that black people face, that then gives black people representation. It helps to normalize their hair. And then that creates a system where
we get credit and respect for our culture.
That's what that does for them. So if you were to do that and then you make a video where you're just wearing your braids, anyone who had an issue would be quickly informed in the comments, hey, she supports black people. She's doing this and this and that. You might still get a few people who have an issue with it, but most people will be like, okay, that's cool. There are different things that people can do that would make black people respect them enough to be okay with you using their culture. It's all about your attitude, which is what most of the comments were saying anyway. And so also, just for anybody who didn't notice, if you look at her hair, these are box braids, okay? This looks completely different to the hair that that girl had in her head. And this woman is also wearing a scarf, but you can just tell from the way it's poking through the scarf, and you can also just tell from how her braids are braided that she did it correctly. So that's why everyone was dragging her in the comments, because anyone who knows how to actually do box braids knows that she did a terrible job. And you can still wear them and do a terrible job. Like, they can still look nice, but it's definitely that kind of hair that she had is not anything black people are going to be jealous of. They might be jealous of something that looks like this because this actually looks professional, but yeah. So with all that being said, that was my little deep dip into Kayla and black culture and box braids. Be sure to leave a comment. Tell me what you guys think. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.